Welcome everybody to episode 19 of Everyone Hates the Commissioner. We are a few months after the football season, so we're going to try and switch this up a little bit. And I have my good friend Dakota on tonight. So we're gonna switch it up a little bit. We're gonna talk about Dakota, and we're gonna do some talking about some cooking because him and I share a passion for some damn good food and cooking it. So Dakota, how you doing?
Not too bad. Just I don't know if everybody here has if we've met or not, but I actually live in Alabama, so I am outside. I'm wearing like a pair of shorts right now and a short sleeve shirt. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you how the weather is down there. Is it warm and lovely?
I woke up this morning and it was humid, man. It's what did I get up to today? Probably about 85 already. But I'm working on my tan. It's coming through.
Yep.
Just just moving on to summer. It should be here next week.
Yeah, we actually we had a nice week or week and a half, and then we got dumped on with almost a foot of snow on Saturday. So that was awesome. Good old Wisconsin weather.
Yeah, what was it? Menasha I saw got like 20 inches or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Dear
in some
Lord.
spots. I know, I know. So Dakota, how do we know each other?
So we met through my older brother Bo. When we meet the first time when we went on the bachelor party.
Yeah, actually, I think that
Yep.
was,
So
yes.
the first time we met, we spent a weekend together at the Wilderness Resort up in the UP, which I would not recommend anyone go to ever.
Yeah. So if our since I know we have some international wide listeners that keep up with this podcast, if they would remember back to the first episode, Bo was on. So Bo and Dakota, they are brothers. Yep, like as he said. So yeah, that was a really fun weekend. We got rained out, but we made the most of it on that next day for sure.
Yeah, we what did we do? We golfed the first day, then the second day it just rained all day, and we just made it into what town was that?
I can't remember.
Escanaba.
It might have been Escanaba.
Yeah, I think it was Escanaba, and we just found a bar that served Bloody Marys, and then
Yep.
we found a some sort of like cigar lounge, and then we just smoked cigarettes at the cigar lounge all day.
Yep. Yep.
It's
Yeah.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, that guy was really, really friendly, and he invited us back to kind of just hang out, watch. I think he had a TV and kind of like this back room, whatever. We had a bunch of chairs, just hang out and have a cigar. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yep.
Yep.
And then proceeded to, continue to celebrate that weekend, like we tend to do. So
Familiar with the concept.
so you're from Wisconsin, but like you said you're in Alabama. So why don't you tell everybody what you're doing down in Alabama?
So when was it? It should have been May of last year. I did an inter-service transfer from the Marine Corps to the United States Army to attend their warrant officer flight training program. So for the last 6 months, I've been flying the UH-72. It's a small training helicopter, and I've just been making my way through flight school, and then starting the Black Hawk course sometime in the next 2 weeks or so.
Sweet, that's awesome.
Yep.
I when I was younger, my mother always told me, she goes, "Oh, you should join the Air Force so you can fly airplanes." And I always said, yeah, no, that's dumb." And now, like now, 20 years later, now look who's the real dummy,
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah,
me.
they yeah, there's nothing like experiencing flight and being able to do it on a daily basis is pretty sweet.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty cool when we went down and we visited you in Georgia 2 summers ago now. Got to
Yep,
check
two
out
summers
the
ago. Where'd we stay? Some condo, Tybee Beach.
Yep,
And
yep.
then you guys were there for my promotion to E5 sergeant in the Marine
Yeah.
Corps. It's really cool.
Yeah, that was really neat. Get to check out the base, kind of see how because that was my first experience seeing a military base and just kind of with the barracks and everything, kind of with your like living situation and
Yeah.
all that. So that was interesting. It's pretty cool to see. So you were talking a little bit before you tore down your patio because it had some water damage, and then you took it
Yep.
easy last weekend. So what do you have going on this coming weekend?
This coming weekend, Emily's going by her parents in Savannah, so I'm the man of the house. So I don't know what
Nice.
I'm gonna get up to. Probably just do a lot of probably get into some cooking, and then
Yep.
started doing some skeet and trap shooting, and then some
Okay.
sporting clays recently. So that's been the whole craze around here.
Yeah, that's always a good time. And you got a couple shotguns. You sent me a picture. You and Emily got some shotguns recently, correct?
Yeah, I got a Frankie Instinct LX, and she got a Charles Daly. So she got a little 20 gauge, and I got a 12 gauge. So we're kind of trying to
Nice.
teach her how it all works.
Yep, sweet. Well, Monica and I are because it's my birthday in a few weeks, and it was her birthday a little like 2 months ago. But so instead of us buying more stuff that we didn't need in the house, we decided to take a we're gonna do a little road trip. We're going down to Kentucky this Friday.
All
We're
right.
gonna stay down in Frankfurt for 2 nights, and then in Louisville for 2 nights. So we're gonna go do some bourbon tours, some distillery tours. That's probably more for me. And then I'm leaving up Monica. She's gonna pick some things that she wants to do. I haven't heard what those are going to be yet, but yeah.
So you said Frankfurt and Louisville?
Yep. Yep. So we're gonna
Frankfurt.
do
All right.
2 night. Yep. We're gonna drive down, go to Frankfurt, and then we missed out on getting in on tour, like a scheduled tour. So I'm hoping that maybe we can sneak in, like if somebody backed out last minute. But we're gonna go and see the Buffalo Trace tour distillery right away, and then gonna kind of go around, check it out, and a bunch of places because well, this is actually a really good time to say that I forgot to share is that this episode is brought to you by Basil Hayden's, and we will be at the Jim Beam Distillery. So if you guys if the distillery sees it, we'll be there this weekend. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, I do love my bourbon, and I kind of gone a little crazy in the winter here on collecting stuff since I hadn't really have much else to do besides since golf and football kind of all ended. So then it kind of turned into collecting a wide range of bourbons. So that's been fun.
Would you get a bottle of Blanton's while I was home?
I did get, yep. Actually, yeah, I did. Yeah, it didn't work out. So when we met that morning for a cup of coffee or it was a Bloody Mary. We
Bloody Mary.
yeah, yeah. Somebody held one for me, but when I got there, he like wanted like twice as much as I anticipated to pay for it, and I didn't wasn't doing that. But I actually got
Right.
lucky and I found it somewhere else that day. So I did get a bottle of Bland's. Um, now I'm kind of getting into some more allocated stuff. So I got lucky, and actually last weekend, 2 weekends ago now, I found a bottle. It was a Parker's Heritage double barreled blend. So it was a blend between a
Hmm.
13 year and a 15 year. And then may actually turn that one around and made like a 300% profit within a matter of a couple hours. So
It's not
I
too bad.
sold that one. And then I'm gonna use a little like that extra cash for our trip this weekend. So yeah, it's been fun.
So I was told that one of our favorite shows is to blame for all of this increased drive in bourbon prices, which is Yellowstone. I heard it. That's what's really driving the market right now.
Really?
Hmm.
I didn't know that.
So I guess every time they feature a bottle on the episode or in the bunkhouse, wherever it may be, people go out and like want to try it, and it leads to like just like I don't know, everybody wants to try it, then it's all gone, and then retail goes up because you can go through like the next level of sellers or whatever.
Yep, the secondary market.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I've also heard about I've got a couple of friends that live in Kentucky. It's essentially like some sort of Kentucky bourbon club where you get like first dibs on the bourbon if you have an actual resident in the like a state residency there. I don't know if you
Oh,
know anything about that.
I don't. Interesting.
Yeah, so you may have to get a little piece of property and change your home a record.
Yeah, that's right. So Tony, you're talking about bourbon clubs, actually. So last night I was invited and I joined a bourbon club. And
Hmm.
last night, so that's where that I was sending you some the photos, but of our meal. So what the whole deal was, it was pretty neat. You go ahead a complimentary cocktail, and then uh hung out. They kind of had their like mini meeting, so we just had to essentially just keep our mouth shut for like 25 minutes while this guy talked.
Yeah.
And then after that, they just kept on bringing out samples. So, and that I think we had 7 samples of this distillery. It was called Redwood Empire. They're out of California.
Okay.
So a lot of ryes, but which I never really drank a lot of rye whiskey before, but that it was actually really, really good. I was impressed. I grabbed a couple of bottles of those. But yeah, that was super neat. And then we just had just a full blown feast, and I guess we'll go over that a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, there was um, just at the start they had made deviled eggs with caviar on it, and I'd never had
Ooh.
caviar before. And
Yep.
then I mean, it was just crazy. There was chicken patel, like liver patel, which I'd
Okay.
never had that either. And there's just so much stuff, and it was crazy. I was having fun. It was like, what can you ask? There's good people, bourbon, and some good food, man. You can't go wrong there.
Right. And do they send a representative from the distillery, or is it just like a local thing that you're a part of here?
So they do that. This is their third meeting, and the first two they did, but this one was a little tougher because the distillery is from California.
California.
Yep, but they did have a ton of bottles of it, and they said that like the head of the club, he's been kind of drinking it and kind of getting to know that their bourbons and whiskeys for like the last year and a half, so he kind of knew what he was talking about. But not this time, they did not have a rep out there, but the last time they had one from Jefferson's. um uh so I was not there for that one, and apparently they had a self-cutting prime rib station, so I missed
Ooh.
out. That would have been awesome. Like, how thick can you cut a steak, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I will let you know exactly how thick. Very.
Yep. So hell yeah. Well, what about another, I gotta, since we're talking a little about bourbon, what is your recent current drink of choice? You got anything like, I guess, are you on a like kick lately?
Uh it's so at the start of the year I did 50 days sober. It was just like a little
Okay.
challenge I did for myself. And then after that I've kind of just been drinking whatever we had left over in the house. So I've been drinking a little bit of White Claws recently. And then Emily really likes like Kraken. I think it's made by Captain Morgan. And
Yep,
then
some
do
rum.
that with Coca-Cola, and that's it's been pretty tasty so far.
Have you ever had like a rum with a Dr. Pepper?
I like to do rum with root beer and then like a
That's
little
good.
bit of vanilla extract in it and make a little frosty sailor.
Oh yeah, those are good too. Hell yeah.
I didn't
Um,
lose you there, did I? All right, there
oh,
we
just
go.
briefly, we're good. Yeah, those are, I do love some rum and
Turn
root
my
beer, but
phone off from the internet here.
oh, but yeah, give Dr. Pepper a chance. Even like I get the Dr. Pepper cream soda and like Captain
All
or
right.
some rum. That's really, really good.
Yeah,
But
I'm typically not a big soda person, so like typically the only soda that we stock in the house will be Coca-Cola, just because every once in a while it's just perfect.
yep, it's a spot. Absolutely.
You know,
So one last thing before we kind of get into some more, and then I do I got a list of all this of kind of all these poultries and stuff that we can kind of go through. But anyways, I
okay.
wanted to ask what your best meal of, I know it's only Monday, but kind of, I guess, in the last week or two, what was the best meal that you had or made or both?
Um, so the best meal that we've made, I'll do the best meal and then I'll do the best dessert because
Okay.
this is something else. So the best meal we did crock pot birria tacos last night. So
Okay.
it's not very labor intensive, so you can start the meal, you can run around, do whatever you need to all day, come back and have the perfect meal. So it's essentially I think it's beef short rib, then just a normal chuck roast, along with some Mexican spices and stuff like that that you put together in a certain way, and then just let it simmer all day. Then you fold in a tortilla, add some I don't know the correct way to say it. It's like waka. There's a Mexican cheese that's really tasty. It's similar to mozzarella, and that makes one hell of a meal.
Okay. So, do you shred all that then? The meat?
Yep. At the after it's done, so you're gonna sear the chuck roast, you're gonna sear
Yep.
the short ribs. Uh, goes into the crock pot for I think we did 8 hours. And then at the end, you're going to shred it all and mix it all in together. And then essentially you're left with, you add a bunch of like beef broth for it to simmer in throughout the day. And that becomes your consomme, I believe is the way you say it. And it's
Okay.
essentially just like a soup of sorts at this point. It's just liquid based, and then you just have meat inside of it.
Okay. Nice. How was it? Turned out really good?
It turned out really well. I think I sent you some pictures last
Yeah.
night, and you can't beat it. The only people that can beat it are the people that like make it for a living, man.
Yeah.
But for like a quick and easy meal to make at home or something to make while you're out running errands, this hit the spot.
Yep. All right. Well, let's hear about that dessert.
All right, so this is kind of just like an Emily and I take on a recipe. So essentially, we made cheesecake one weekend, and we were like, you just do the finger test, and you're like, yep, that tastes pretty well. And then after that, we decided after that cheesecake the next weekend, we're like, we're not gonna bake the cheesecake filling. So essentially, we just left the cheesecake filling in the natural state that it was, where it's a little bit colder. You never put it in the oven, and then we filled like a cupcake tin with crushed graham cracker, and then put this little bit of cheesecake filling on top of it that's never been baked, and it knocked our socks off. And then
Real.
we had enough left over, so we kind of had like a tasting with it. So we had
Yep.
like graham crackers and Oreos and like fruit set up that you just dip it in.
Yep.
And oh my Lord, dude, it's like it was one of the best desserts we had.
Haha. Awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Monica's made some like these lemon cheesecake bars I think in the last few months. I think the first time she did was around Christmas and then made some again just recently. But those I was actually just telling somebody I don't think that there's anything for me personally when it comes to dessert that can beat cheesecake. I just
Yeah,
it,
every single time it hits.
it does. I know. Actually, it's gonna be my dessert tonight. We went out to dinner with my parents for my mother's birthday, and I had a piece of chocolate raspberry cheesecake to
Mm.
go. So I got that for dessert tonight. So
Ha-
looking
Have you
forward to
been to
that.
the Cheesecake Factory?
Yeah, a couple times. Not I haven't been there in a long, long time though, but I have been there in the past.
I don't know how I love cheesecake so much, and I've somehow magically avoided it to this
Yeah,
day. 25 years, not once, not ever.
really. And they actually
Yeah.
have really good food too, like entrees. Like you get a big pile of food and then you're stuffed by the time you're actually ready. Well, you're not ready, but when it comes time to have dessert, you're like, shit,
It's time.
I thought I was gonna come and have like 8 pieces of cheesecake because of the name, but it just does, you just get so full from the food. But they have good food too all around. I think
Yeah.
it's a good restaurant for sure. And you can't beat that cheesecake, man.
Yeah, and I think Cheesecake Factory, they do something interesting where they send their cheesecakes to supermarkets, and I've seen it at Fazoli's before. So I don't know if they have some sort of like shadow kitchen where you can actually get Cheesecake Factory quality cheesecakes at these other places.
I've seen them at the grocery store. I don't know if they just make like samplers where they have like 8 different pieces in there. It's a smaller one. I've
Right.
seen that before, and I'm not sure where. I bet you they have some sort of, I don't know, plant or factory or whatever that they make. They just take and then they package it up to ship all over it. But I know what you're talking about. I've seen
Right.
that too. But I
Yeah.
guess they have. I don't know actually if it is from. I think it is. Oh, it is. It is from there. Usually in the past, when I would get a birthday cake, I would always request this. It would be a red velvet cheesecake,
Mm.
and it had cake in it, like the red velvet cake, but it
Yep.
also had like in between like layers of cheesecake, and then it had like the cream cheese frosting on the top of it too.
Oh Lord.
Oh, that's
You
so
sit there
good.
with a gallon of milk and you just eat that whole thing.
Yeah, so good. My God, I haven't had that in long time, but
Uh,
yeah, that was
a
really
lot
good.
of people in the audience may not like me for this, but Walmart's bakery section makes a really good cheesecake.
Really.
I don't know how I found it or why I found it. I just went on a limb and trusted it, but it was really good.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
You pair it with a pint of Ben and Jerry's from the freezer section, you're set. The night.
So, um, I guess for me, I guess I can kind of talk about that meal that I had last night. I sent you a picture of. So the best
Yep.
meal is for sure best meal I've had in some time, but they had slow cooked, they cooked them for like 10 hours, like
Hmm.
beef short ribs.
Right.
And I'm not kidding, the bones were like almost 10 inches long and they had just this huge chunk of meat on them. It was just incredible. And it just fell apart. You could just like take a bite out of it. It was unbelievable. But that was just the main entree. Well, then there's grilled shrimp, the wedge
Mm.
salad, a baked potato bar that came with three different things you could put on
All
it
right.
before. So it had the option to put either chili, like a melted down beer cheese, and then like the spinach
Okay.
cream stuff you could put on that, and then after all that, put your shredded cheese and sour cream on it. Like that whole meal was so good, and those short rib, those oh my god,
Yeah, it's funny that
unbelievable.
you had short ribs last night when just last week I sent you a video or a picture of me doing a beef short rib or a boneless beef short rib.
Yep.
And I kind of did that with like an Asian sauce, and that turned out really well, just as you're describing. But I imagine they didn't sous vide it. I imagine they like braised it of some sort or baked it.
No, yep. So the plan was to smoke them, but they had, I mean, there was 30 people there, 30 plus people there. So he was
Mm.
and then kind of panicked that he was going to run out of time and because he had so much else going on that he was going to struggle with like going and maintaining the temperature on the smoker. So he said he ended
Right.
up did putting them in the oven, but he had them in for I think like 6 or 7 hours at 250, he said, in the
Okay.
oven, and then transferred them over to like a hot case that held the temp at like 150 until we were
All
ready
right.
to eat for like another 4 hours. But yeah,
Hmm.
those things were fantastic. I definitely want to go back to that place because it was at a restaurant, and
All right.
the owner shut the whole restaurant down for the night so he could have that event there, which is really neat.
Interesting.
So yeah, so he had his head chef. He was the one cooking all day long for just for this event. So I definitely want to go back and I look at their menu. They looks like they have a lot of really, really good stuff. But I want to go back to those short ribs you were telling us. So talking about, and I know that you had texted me, but kind of like break it down on what you did with those.
All right. So we found like just like a basic Asian sauce recipe online, and then we kind of just like throw extra stuff in where we find it necessary. So essentially the you start with like a soy sauce base of sorts, and then
Okay.
depending if you're gonna do chicken or beef, I'll add that type of what is it, the broth. So just add like a little bit of beef broth or chicken broth just to add some more like liquid to the bag. And then from
Yep.
there, I'll do like a lot of red pepper flakes. I grew up hating red pepper flakes because they were so spicy, but in the recent years, I love them. And then,
Same.
yep. And then follow it with what else do we add? Just normal pepper. And then whatever type of pepper you can find at Publix. It's a pretty popular chain of grocery stores down here in the South, and they have the best produce. And then you cannot forget the brown sugar. The brown
Okay.
sugar is like the best part of every Asian recipe that I've found because it gives you like the saltiness of the soy sauce, but it also brings it back to like more of a neutral with the sweet that it has. And
Hmm.
then a little bit of apple cider vinegar pulls it all together because like the citric acid in it or something like that really tenderizes the meat.
Okay. And then you cooked that in the sous vide, right?
Yep, we did. We actually had this beef short rib. It was really cheap. So I think it was maybe 2 half-pound pieces of beef short rib for $5. So maybe to the average person, it's an undesirable piece of meat. But after we put it in we did one for 24 hours in the sous vide, and we did one for 36 hours. We did them both at I think at 135 degrees Fahrenheit, and they turned out incredible. It was like cutting butter with a spoon, man.
So, what was there a difference between the 24 and the 36 hour?
I think the only difference is going to be time.
But they turned out essentially the same.
Essentially the same, but you really had to pay attention to like like the texture of the meat rather than the flavor. So
Okay.
at that point, you're kind of looking at like I think it goes into how long the meat had to render. So it
Hmm.
like gets that temperature where it can kind of break down a little bit and kind of be a little bit more smooth.
Okay. Yeah, that sounded really good when you were explaining that one to me. And they looked good. That photo that you sent me, it looked fantastic. Look,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah.
just yeah, portrait mode on the iPhone makes everything look good.
Oh, you're cutting yourself short. I'm sure that fucker that looked real. I bet you that looked just as good as in real life
Yeah, yeah, dude. And
as
it
your
tasted that
photo.
good too.
Oh,
Yeah,
damn.
but for like somebody who's just like starting to get into cooking, I think the sous vide should be one of the first tools that they have. I really do.
Yep. And I shortly after Monica I started dating, I remember I was visiting her um and I got pretty sick. It was in the morning, or I just kind of I was feeling pretty crappy, but it was not self-induced, I promise. But
Yeah, we believe you.
yeah. But anyways, I was laying in bed and I was watching, I don't remember how it came up, but I was like kind of scrolling through like HBO Max or whatever,
Hmm.
and some streaming service, and it said, "Oh yeah, I cooked the perfect steak," and it was like a 15-minute thing. So I'm like, "Well, I like steak and I like
Yeah.
perfect steaks, so
Yep.
I'm just gonna watch this." Well, that was what they had. They had a sous vide, and I had never heard of it before, or heard of that
Mm.
before, and yeah, and as for people that don't know what they are, it's a device that hooks onto like a big pot or a bin or whatever you want to use, and just fill it up with water, and it maintains and regulates the temperature of the water. So you can put some, whether it's vegetables or proteins or any kind of protein, you could put it like a Ziploc bag with whatever spices you want. Have it submerged in the have the bag with the meat submerged in the water, and like you said, you like usually there's some guides. Like my when I got mine, it had a guide like what to do. So for chicken,
Hmm.
like how you want the chicken, or like a steak, for example, if you want a medium rare steak, do it for an hour at 130 degrees. It comes out and it
Yep.
is. So they weren't lying when they were saying cook a
Yeah,
perfect
perfect
steak.
steak.
It is perfect. And I actually have gotten to the point where and if I go to a restaurant, even if it's like a supper club or a steakhouse, unless it's prime rib, because prime ribs, I mean, I will not order a ribeye or a tenderloin or anything at a restaurant anymore, because I just know
Yep.
I can do it so much better at home. So why would I
Yep.
spend the you can spend $20 on a big fat ribeye and cook it however perfectly at home, and then
Yep.
you go
Just
to
wall to
a
wall pink.
yeah, and then if you go to a restaurant, you're probably paying double that for a big ribeye. So it's just like I
Yeah,
don't
and
do it
I've
anymore.
yeah, I found at like nicer restaurants like that, their sides menu is also very good. So I typically try and do like a smaller tenderloin at a nice restaurant, and I try and do two or three sides because that's what I'm there for. I can have a steak at home just fine, but like the
Yep.
sides. Yeah,
Yeah.
I went to Eddie V's. What was that in Austin, Texas? It's a really nice steakhouse. They've got like the ambiance down, like it's dark lighting. They have like a jazz band playing, and then it's a steakhouse, but the sides there outdo the steak any day of the week
Really.
because oh my gosh, yeah, they're relatively close to the ocean, so they have seafood and options like that. But I think I had lobster mac and cheese and lobster mashed potatoes that knocked my socks clean off.
So I guess that is a good point. Usually, I mean, you know how it is in Wisconsin when you go out to a supper club. It's basically a lot of it. The menu is all pretty much the same, besides
Yep, no
maybe
matter where you go.
a few wrinkles. You know, you got your prime rib, you have your tenderloin, your rib eyes, all your steaks, right? You have all those cuts. And then
Yep.
you have your basic potato options, your mashed potatoes, your steak fries, your waffle fries, your whatever. It's all the kind of the same, around the same thing. If your steamed vegetables, whatever. So that's interesting. That would have been, I would definitely, that's a really good point. But again, like, you know, up here, we don't have as many options for sides at some of these supper clubs, but that is a really good
Yep.
point. Yeah, you gotta hit on those sides. So I guess what do you kind of lean towards when you are going for sides? Or are you just trying to try anything and everything just to see how they are?
So I've had a couple of really unique opportunities to find myself in like pretty crazy places that I never thought I would be. So the side is where I'm going to try and find like a regional dish to that place. So it like if you're in France, you got to try the snails. Like even if it's gonna make you look like a tourist, you got to try the snails just to say you did.
Yep.
So like in Japan, you find a lot where I was stationed for 2 years. I ate a lot of like seafood sides, or you go to Korea and you eat the like beef bulgogi. It's like you don't want like a main meal. You want all of the sides that you'll never have like that again.
Mm-hmm.
But primarily in like the United States, up and down the East Coast, as you go north, try and get a lot of lobster and stuff like that. But as you go south, the oysters you cannot beat. And
Mm.
then the desserts that go along with that, like you've been to Savannah. I don't know if you had banana pudding while we were there, but the banana pudding is to die for.
That was actually our dessert at last night at that bourbon club, but I was so full
Yeah,
from that. I was so full from that short rib. I couldn't do it. I didn't
yeah,
have any dessert last night, but I'm regretting it because I did go over and look at it. It looked absolutely fantastic.
yeah,
But
just a little bit.
yeah. So what was when you were in Japan then, what was your favorite thing that you had while you're over there, that you wouldn't be able to find around here, or I mean maybe, but not on a regular basis?
All right, so we'll break that down into alcohol and then food.
Okay, let's do it.
So in Japan, they have 7-Eleven, just how we do here, but their
Yep.
7-Eleven serves like actually really nice like cold cut sandwiches that are pre-made. And also like you know how they talk about like on commercials and stuff like gas station sushi, leave it alone. But in Japan, gas station sushi is really good.
Really?
So yeah, or they'll make like a little sandwich where it's rice with spam and then egg, and it's kind of just like a little rice sandwich wrapped in seaweed. And that is what I miss most about Japanese food is those little things you grab them and you go, and you are on your way. Like that'll do you in. That'll
The
that'll right
spam,
where we need to be.
you missed the spam sandwich.
I miss the spam sandwich. I guess it all started where American GIs were getting spam sent to them because I guess once it's in that can, it's like essentially good forever. So
Yep.
eventually the Japanese like people found it and they're like, this is actually pretty tasty. And then they started adding it to like a lot of dishes. And that's where that sandwich came to be.
Damn.
You know,
Interesting.
yeah, quite tasty.
So what about the alcohol?
So it's not actually a Japanese alcohol. A lot of people probably think I'm going to say sake right now, but I'm not.
All right.
It's soju. It's from Korea, but it's a rice wine, and
Okay.
I think it's clocked at like 15% alcohol, and it comes in a green bottle the size of your normal Coca-Cola plastic bottle, but it's glass, and they're about $2 each.
Oh
So,
boy.
dude, we always base it off of the rule of five.
Yeah.
So if you drank three, you were going to be a turd tomorrow, but if you drank five, you just spent your what, $10, and you are going to be a serious liability to everybody around you.
Oh, it's funny.
Oh man. And for $10, man, it's tough business.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, and you said that was a bottle for $2?
Yep.
Like a
Yep. A
typical
bottle.
wine bottle that like we would hit like a normal size wine bottle?
Like the size of like let me see if I can grab one from the fridge to
Sure.
use as a
Yep.
reference here. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave the camera.
Nope, it's all good.
So it's going to be about this size for 15% alcohol, but
Okay,
it would
so
just kick your butt.
yeah, so like about the size of a Coke bottle, like a 20-ounce Coke bottle.
Yep,
Okay,
exactly.
all right. Interesting. Can't
Hmm.
say I've had that before.
Yeah, and then it's a glass bottle, so when you throw it because you're so banged up, it's even more fun.
Yeah. Not that you've done that, right?
Not once, not ever.
Oh shit. Okay, so I got a list here. I kind of wanted to break down some stuff, but why don't we start with beef?
All right,
All
start with
right.
beef.
Hell yes.
All
So
right.
what is your favorite cut? So I guess we can. I mean, let's do like talking about steak. If you had a favorite cut, what would it be?
Uh, as a man on a fixed income, my favorite cut is the one that's on sale. So I like it around Christmas
Yeah.
time when the prime rib, what is it? The prime rib roast is on
Yeah.
sale. I love
Yep.
that. But beyond that, I'm a tenderloin guy. I love it. And then once again, you just fill it with big sides. I think down here we have a meat market that we go to where you can get a whole beef tenderloin for $100. That's
Yep.
a pretty decent price. And then if you just do two of them at a time, two pucks,
Yep.
that lasts us like 5 or 6 weeks, just Emily and I. And that's a
Right.
good meal. How
Oh, hell yeah.
about yourself?
I love a good ribeye. I
Yeah.
just I can't, and I know that but the thing is when I do find ribeyes on sale, I find there's a reason that they're on sale. They're
Hmm.
not as like I mean if you want a good ribeye and I know that I've kind of ruined myself, because I kind of did I have found maybe like the prime cut or whatever for. Yeah, it's a little bit more expensive, but oh man, there's a reason for it. So which I don't do it as much, especially in the winter. But when summer rolls around and I have that grill out almost every night, yeah,
Hmm.
it is I love a good ribeye, but um yeah, it's different. Like I don't I don't get my I don't it's cold here in the really fucking cold here in
Yep.
the winter. So I don't get the grill out very much. That's why I've really capitalized and utilized the sous vide a lot in the winter.
And then
But
do you use a cast iron for searing?
yeah, and I am
Hmm.
still for in the winter for sure. So I'm still kind of playing around with like the right temp and like and what to use kind of like as an oil because I know like the olive oil, if I use olive oil, it smokes the whole house up. And I've got some
Yep, the smoking
avocado
point is too
oil.
low.
Yeah. So I need to I don't gotta find something, find the mix there for that. But I haven't made a steak at home in actually quite a while. So I'm dying to get that grill going. But in
Yeah.
the I was gonna tell you, so because obviously like using the sous vide, it's essentially reverse searing it, right? So you're cooking the
Correct.
whole
Yeah.
thing and then you're going to sear it afterwards instead of searing it and kind of uh relying on the sear to kind of cook through the steak. So
Right.
I this last summer I actually got the smoker out, put the probe
Right.
in, and I put this rub on that had charcoal in the rub.
Hmm.
It's from, actually, it's where I got this shirt too. It's from Chef Kuso. Love his videos, learned a ton of stuff from Chef Kuso, but he's got these rubs, and one of them is called dirt or barbecue dirt or just dirt. And like I said, it
Right.
had some charcoal in it. So I smoked the steaks really as low as I could for about an hour. And I think the lowest temp my smoker goes to is about 180 degrees. So
Right.
and it took about an hour. And then in the meantime, I had gotten my charcoal grill going and get the charcoal cooking. So that took about 45 minutes. But
Right.
I pulled those steaks off at like 125 or 120-ish in there. So a little
And
bit
that's
below.
internal.
Yep, internal.
Right.
Yep. So a little bit less than medium rare. So a little bit more on the rare side. And then when I was ready to sear them, I pulled the charcoal up as high to the grate as I could,
Mhm.
threw those steaks on there, and it's like the charcoal that was on fire activated the charcoal on the rub because it just like started sizzling and it
Huh.
on each side, and it was like and it turned it like almost black on the outside because of well, it
Mhm.
was, but but it sizzled. It had just this amazing crust on both sides of that
Hmm.
steak. It was unbelievable. That still might be one of the best steaks I've ever had, honestly.
Hmm.
It was so good because you still had that smoky flavor, and I know it's not for everybody, but it was just the combination of all those flavors. It was so good.
Yeah, so I'm part of like a steak club on Facebook where it's just a Facebook group and people are always talking about like ideas and stuff like that. But something a lot of people do is use mayo after they finish a sous vide for the sear. And I guess just because it's like egg whites and whatever nonsense, egg whites saying milk maybe, that it just gives you like the perfect sear every single time. I have yet
And
to try it because it scares me.
and they do that in a cast iron then?
In a cast iron, yep.
Well,
Just
shit,
like
I
a
might have to
light
try that.
layer, like really, really light layer. So I want to get like a low dollar steak and try it that way.
So they have all these different flavored mayos out there now. I wonder how
Mm,
it would be because like I have garlic aioli and some chipotle aioli, depending on for like different sandwiches or whatever. I
mm.
wonder if you just took like a little bit smidge of that garlic aioli just to give it just an extra little flavor on the
Huh.
outside. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to try that.
Hmm. Yeah, that would probably be really tasty. That'd probably be perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it wasn't even that long ago. Like I said, I haven't made a steak in some time, but I think the last one I did was definitely in the sous vide. I'm telling you, if we're everybody that's not that, we probably won't have any listeners or watchers, whatever, that's okay. But
Yeah.
I am telling you that those sous vides, I think, and it's like mine's like it's called an Innova precision cooker. It's not actually a sous vide. It doesn't say
Mhm.
it's a sous vide, but telling you that thing is incredible. And if you're really passionate about like having some good food and having some good results, it's right up there.
Yep.
So,
That'll knock the socks off of anybody you're trying to impress.
oh yeah, absolutely. Because you can't. It's pretty much hard to fuck up. I mean, you can't
Yeah, it's
fuck up.
impossible. Yep, exactly. I really like to, after I take it out of the sous vide, put it into the fridge for, I think I usually do 10 to 15 minutes, just so I can guarantee that wall to wall pink.
Really?
Because I want the internal temperature to be at exactly whatever it may be, like 128 or 130, because I like a rare steak.
Yep.
So that putting it into the refrigerator is going to help with that.
So why is that? I've never heard of that.
So essentially, once you put it in the refrigerator, it's going to cool from the outside in to the steak.
Okay.
So essentially, if you can get like that quarter inch of the outside of the steak to cool down, you are able to sear it, and
Oh,
it's going to
without cook,
stay like that perfect temperature that you're
because
looking for.
you're not going to be cooking the edges then because it's at a lower temperature.
Yep, exactly.
Interesting. Okay, that makes
And it
sense.
makes for once again, it makes for a beautiful picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So, what about burgers? You guys do burgers at all?
um, So we actually live in a townhome that were they were put up in the 1990s, and they have poor ventilation. So every time
Okay.
we cook like any sort of excessive meat in the house, it lingers right at the top of the stairs at the second story. So you'll walk up there and like yesterday's burger smell hits you in the face. So most of our burgers are cooked outside, and it's really hard to regulate the temperature on them. And I guess I didn't get into this earlier. We're expecting to move in the next 4 months or so.
Oh,
So
okay.
we have just like a cheap bullshit little charcoal grill where the charcoal isn't high enough to the actual meat. So there's no way to like actually cook it to a high sizzling temperature that you need for a burger.
Okay. All right. Well, I happened to was lucky enough to get a Blackstone grill
That's what I'm
over the
talking about right there. I want one
so
so bad.
I uh I seasoned it because in like December, January, it was a little bit more mild before it got really, really cold out. So I had
Yep.
seasoned it with some homemade bacon. And if we don't have time to get it all the way through there tonight, we could definitely do that another time. But um, I um, I essentially took at the same time that I had cured some bacon and smoked it and
Yep.
then you have to let it sit. I can go through that process another time, like I said. But anyways, I took the really really fatty parts of that pork belly and I used
Okay.
that to season. So I just stood outside and I just kind of was going back and forth, essentially just a chunk of fat, just going over seasoning
Hmm.
that thing. But I haven't been able to use it as much as I want to because it has been so cold. But I am
Hmm.
looking forward to like almost every night either having that out or the grill or the charcoal grill out this summer because
Yep.
I mean, why not? And then on the weekends, fire up the smoker at 7 a.m. and throw a
Yep.
chicken on there all day or whatever it is. But yeah, that Blackstone, I just recently did some smash burgers for the first time.
Okay.
So kind of just grab some hamburger, threw some spices in there, salt, pepper, some little garlic, minced onion, all that fun stuff, paprika, all that. And um that thing is so handy because it's just such a big griddle and it gets so
Yep.
hot. So like after you get a burger press too, you roll it up in a ball, stick it on
Hmm.
there, and then smash it down. And then like when you're doing that, you essentially like cook it because usually smash burgers are a lot thinner and they kind of spread out,
Yep.
right? So you kind of peek at it as soon as you get a char on that one side, you flip it over, put a piece of cheese
Done.
on it or whatever, and then I have one of those things that put the cover
Okay.
over it, and you let it sit for, I mean, because then it holds all the heat in there and it melts that cheese
Hmm.
like instantly, and then it's done, and they're just so good, man. That's a way to go for a
Um,
burger.
I think I've seen it online where guys like maybe they called it like an Oklahoma burger or something like that. So essentially, you take like a white onion and you slice it super thin, and then essentially once you put that thin onion on the grill, it just like melts to your smash burger, and it's like the
Hmm,
onion is no longer there, and they just gives you the perfect taste and what would you even call it, sear on a burger.
interesting. I haven't heard of that either.
Yeah,
Gonna have to look
yeah. I'll have
into
to
that
see if
one.
I can find that video. Yeah, Nick's not on Facebook, so I can't send him all this stuff.
No, and I haven't been on Facebook or anything well, probably shit 5 years, probably.
That's
And then
good.
I did have TikTok and deleted
Mm,
that once I was worried about, like, I'm hearing about the Chinese thing, so
no.
kind of I deleted that. And as much as I enjoyed that, and I know that all of these good videos that I would actually like, the majority of like the videos that I had liked on TikTok were cooking videos. So
Right.
it hurts knowing that since I deleted it and then it give you 30 days to open or go back on until it's actually deleted, in case for all
Yep.
those people that change their minds. It hurts knowing that all of those cooking videos that I would constantly go back to and like to
Gone.
refresh my memory, they're gone. I'm
Yep.
sure I could look it up, but when you're just sitting there scrolling, you're like, oh, that looks
Yep.
good. Yep, hit like. It's not as easy to just like think about it and go search it out. So
Yep. I don't mean to go too far into it, but have you gotten into the inner workings of TikTok on this podcast before?
no.
All right, so essentially a synopsis version of it. So TikTok comes from China, and in China, they put caps on what time of the day kids can use it. And it's geared more towards like mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, stuff like that. So as you get deeper, it gives you smarter and smarter videos that you need to be to understand. And here in America, it's unlimited, and then it just gives you dumber and dumber videos because that's what we're pursuing. And that's why I
Hmm.
do not have TikTok. Not a
Yeah.
fan of
Yeah,
that.
right. I know.
30-second version right there. You could yeah, people need to listen to that part right there.
Yeah, and it's too bad because like I always pride myself on being a curious person and trying to like
Right.
broaden and like try and learn as much as I can because I mean, eh, there is a lot of people that are way, way, way fucking smarter than I am, but I still love learning new things. And
Right.
yeah, that does suck knowing that they're just trying to dumb us down with just
Mhm.
stupid, idiotic videos.
Yeah, just nonsense. And damn it, I love nonsense.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, let me think here. Have you done a brisket at all ever?
I've never done a brisket before.
No. So I'm not sure if you have guides for your sous vide, but there is a guide on mine for brisket. The thing
Huh.
is, when I buy a brisket and throw on the smoker, it's like 11 pounds, and it's just huge.
Yep.
It's
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 big.
like it's bigger than my cutting boards. So it's like, what am I? How I'm like, first of all, where am I going to find a bag big enough to put that in? I'm just maybe
Right.
I might just have to cut it down. Maybe find like a 4 or 5 pounder. I'm not sure what
Hmm.
they're like the guide or the direction is on that, but not to mention find a bag big enough. And then I think it was like what you did with your short ribs. I think it was like 36 hours. And I mean,
Yep.
I'm not shit. It was there was times that I I remember seeing some and they were like maybe even 72 hours or even longer. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Yeah.
Right.
Brisket. Oh yeah, here's a 36-hour one and a 24-hour one. So if you want a firm and meaty like a tender steak, 135 degrees for 36 hours, and then extra moist with traditional texture is 155 for 24 hours. Oh yeah, and it's about a 5 pound brisket. So I'm gonna have to try that sometime. Just get a big one, cut it down, cut a chunk off of there,
Hmm.
and try it in the sous vide. But then again, like you like some, especially when you're smoking meats and especially beef or a pork, like a pork butt, you really like that bark on the outside.
Yeah,
You
you're
know what I'm
you're
saying?
going for the smoke ring. That's what you want.
Yes. Yep. So I wonder how that would be if it sat in the sous vide. I bet you the thing would just fall apart. I bet it would be really, really good. But I wonder
Yep.
how it would be without having that crust and, like you said, the smoke ring on there.
Hmm.
I don't know.
So I was told the rule of thumb as once you get your new smoker, you have 3 smokes before you actually get something good. Is that true?
Um, in terms of what? Because of the smoker or because you're learning how the
Because
smoker
you're
works?
learning, yeah. Yep, because you're learning how the smoker works.
So let me think. What did I do? I did so when I first got it, I was really what I did right away a lot of was chickens. So
Okay.
um there was a stretch where I would go to the grocery store and get like 2 for 10 rotisserie chickens, and then
Okay.
I'd come home and shred them, and then I'd have lunches for the week, and we'd have
Yep.
some dinners where you can do anything with a shredded chicken, right?
Hmm.
So I started before I got the smoker. I was like, well, why would I spend that much? Why would I do that when I can make my own? It'd probably be better. Well, what I was doing was I was putting them in a Dutch oven, the
Okay.
chickens. So I'd put some broth in there, maybe some veggies or whatever, and then I just couldn't. I don't know if I got too impatient or if the chicken was too big or what, but there was a lot of times that we put it in and we had to take it out, put it in, take it out because it just didn't get it right with the internal temperature. Because in
Okay.
a Dutch oven, you can't. It's not like you can put a smoking like a meter probe in it because it's so hot in there.
Right.
So you have to
Uh,
take it out, open the lid up, and stick a probe in there and see what the temp is on the chicken, which you need
mhm.
165 degrees,
Yeah.
obviously. So it didn't work out, but once I got the smoker, I went through a few different methods on chickens. I'm on my
Okay.
third method now.
Hmm.
So the
And
first
I think
one,
you were telling me that you spatchcock it, which may be my favorite word to this day.
it, so I actually found a better method now, but I was
There's
just
no
gonna
way.
say, yeah. So I
There's
was
no
gonna say
way.
like, so I used to like take some cooking twine and tie the legs up tight to the body because if you don't do that, then you don't have an even cook. So you want to kind of put like the leg and thigh and the wings as tight to the entire
Mhm.
chicken as you can. That's the whole idea of that.
Right.
Um, so and it worked out fine until I started seeing some videos about spatchcocking these chickens. So yeah, it is an awesome word, and I'd always do this. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go spatchcock a chicken, and I would just say that all the time. And Mike was like, you're just like using that word. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, you're right.
I'm pretty sure you get diseases from doing that.
Yeah, but so that is essentially. I'm not sure if I ever explained it to you, but that's essentially cut the whole spine out of the chicken.
Yep.
So then you open it all up so it lays out more flat because then you can kind of unroll the whole thing. So that
Okay.
gives it the idea of that is giving it an even cook, because it lays more
Yeah,
flat.
throughout.
Yep. So Did that a lot of times, and it was very, very good. But I did find a new method, and I'll tell you. It's called the
Uh, be,
frog method.
all right, before we get into that, I just want to make a
Yep.
disclaimer to the audience here is so I grew up in a Midwestern household where my dad overcooked the chicken every single time.
Oh,
Like there was no meat thermometer. It was just throw it on there and see what happens. But growing up, I finally reached that point where I'm like, sweet, I have a meat thermometer and I can finally try chicken breast. And I'll tell you what, you cook a chicken breast to exactly 165, you are going to be questioning whether or not you want steak anymore because that chicken breast is going to be
yes.
perfect every time.
I know. I know.
Yeah, it's just the way it is.
Hey, and it was the same way for me too. Like, and it's not their fault because my parents, that's what they grew up on was a
Yep.
meat and potato. That's like meat and potato diet. That's just like a traditional Wisconsin diet, right? Find some sort of meat, whether it's chicken or hamburger or whatever, have a baked potato, some sort of dice it up, fries, whatever it is. And then, I mean, there was there was a lot of times that I would say the majority of me growing up that we never had a vegetable for a side. So then, like when I met Monica, when she always like it was always having a vegetable on the side, I was like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. But now I'm completely flipped. Now I feel like I gotta have green beans or
Yeah,
broccoli at
yeah.
least on.
If there's no broccoli, I don't. Yeah, yeah. There's no
Yes,
reason, no reason to be here
right, yep.
because there's a
So
correct way to do it.
yeah, for sure. And then but like you said, the chicken breasts were always came out dried or just
Yep.
like charred, and it was just kind of like rubbery, and I had to put a
Sweet
big
baby Ray's, cover it up.
yes, yes,
Bullshit,
exactly.
dude. Yeah, you make a good chicken breast. You don't need a sauce. You
No,
don't.
you don't. Nope, nope, not at all. But
And I'm not taking
um,
shots at them. I blame the USDA because they set all the regulations on that stuff. So it's their fault.
yep, yep. Got to cook it until when you push it and you touch it, and it's like a piece of rubber. That's when it's done, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, the little hand
stupid. Yep.
method.
You know that, and that's the thing. Yeah, it is a little freaky, like thinking about it. If you keep it like right at that 165-degree temp, like I understand where it could freak somebody out, and they want to know that it's done. I get it, but
Yep.
at the same time, if you do keep it like right at 165, and then another thing that I've been doing is brining chicken.
Oh my gosh, dude. That
That's
is
a
the way to
game
go.
changer.
Yep.
It's a game changer.
So we call them healthy Popeyes chicken sandwiches at home. So where we
Oh,
take
come on,
mayo
tell
and
me.
make the sauce. So we make the Popeyes spicy chicken sauce at home, and then you brine just the chicken thighs
Okay.
and boneless chicken thighs, brine them, and then you grill them. And I like to add a bunch of pickle juice to the mixture. And
Okay.
I don't know what it does, but it comes out. You got to be very careful when you're brining chicken because it'll turn salty very easily. So
Hmm.
just keep in mind how much coarse salt you use, or what is the other salt they always want you to use in a brine? It's not coarse salt.
No, is it that pink Mediterranean? Is that it or
Yeah, I think that's what we use primarily in this house.
okay?
But just be careful how much you use because it will seep into the meat. But make sure you add a lot of a lot of other flavors in there.
So when you're talking about like your Popeyes chicken sandwich, so what we've been doing is, do you guys have an air fryer?
We do.
Okay, so this has turned out amazing every time, but for whatever reason, I actually did brine some chicken breasts a little bit longer than I normally do. I
Mhm.
went 2 days for I think I just whatever for whatever reason we just kind of got busy one night, whatever, because I
Mhm.
generally do it for about 24 hours, especially when I smoke a
Yep.
chicken. I'll brine the chicken for about 24 hours, but we just had chicken breasts and I think I did them for a little over 48 hours. And um then you cut the chicken breast in half, kind of at an angle or whatever, so you can kind of catch it a
Okay.
little bit more in the middle. Put your saran wrap over it, beat it, right, flatten it
Mm.
all out. Okay,
Okay.
and then you do flour to like flip the whole thing. So I do get a flour, put some salt, pepper, paprika in the flour, mix
Yep.
it all up really good. Put the flattened chicken breast in the flour, put it in an egg bath after that.
All
And
right.
then what we did is just buy the most generic cornflakes that you can find. Because normally, like if
Okay.
you want like Kellogg's cornflakes, it's like $7 for a box of
Good
cereal.
luck.
Yep, right. So get the cheap shit. It's like $1.89 for a big box of it.
Hmm.
Put it in a bag, smash them all up, like
Okay.
small. Then after you give it that chicken breast and give it an egg bath, then you completely coat it with the smashed up cornflakes.
Okay.
Give it a little spray of Pam, whatever it is, whatever what do you want to
Ooh.
use for cooking, what anything, throw it in your air fryer and cook it. I think we do about 370 for about maybe 15 minutes, or peek on it, make sure once those cornflakes start to turn brown a little bit, get some color on it.
Hmm.
So then we put it on a bun. I like I do love Popeyes, but I love even more the Chick-fil-A sauce. Okay, you can
Oh,
get
all
that at
right.
the grocery store. Squeeze
Mhm.
some of that on there, some onions, maybe some lettuce. If you want throw a piece of pepper jack cheese on that fucker. Oh my God, is that sandwich good? You're gonna
All right.
have to
So
try that.
I agree with you. That's a great sandwich, but I think most by now you probably have some cooking enthusiasts that listen to this podcast often. But I recommend taking a look at the the bottle of spam, or sorry, bottle of Pam. Look at the ingredients, and then look at the ingredients on a bottle of olive oil. So what you want to do is you want to get yourself a spritzer where you can pour the olive oil into that, because Pam has so much nonsense that you don't want to be putting in your body. All the preservatives and nonsense that go into that, just do yourself the favor.
So we have like the spray, like the full virgin olive oil spray, whatever.
Okay.
We have that. I do use that. I mean, I guess I was just kind of whatever, just to spray,
Yeah.
and I guess that's the first thing that came to mind because again, growing up, there's just
You don't
like
think of it.
three cans of Pam in the cupboard, right?
Yeah. Yep. So we went through like a whole revival around the first of the year, a whole revolution in the kitchen where we don't do any of that stuff anymore. So one day I looked at the number of ingredients in a little plastic pack of instant mashed potatoes as I was looking at a bag of just potatoes. It's like, shit, why am I putting all this nonsense in my body when I could just do the potatoes?
Yep.
Just
Yep.
wash them real good. There's no reason.
It does, and like you said, it does take
A little bit longer.
longer to do it all, yes, but and the end product is better for you and it is way tastier for
Yep.
sure.
And we went one step further and we started making our own butter at home. So
Really?
essentially, yep, we keep all of our old spaghetti jars. So it's a little bit bigger. Let me get that in the camera there. So it's a little bit bigger of a spaghetti jar. Heavy cream and salt. And you just shake until your arms are numb. And eventually that'll turn into butter. And then you use a cheesecloth and you have the best butter you'll ever have. And that's what I like to use with my steak is so then you can roast your own garlic. Then you can add it to the butter. Dude, everything that you want to do will change your butter life.
What the hell? I never heard about that either.
Yeah.
You said whipping cream and what?
Heavy whipping cream and then salt is all you need. And then you just shake for about 5 to 15 minutes. Somewhere in that time frame, it'll change from like a liquid to like some sort of like slodgy mixture. And then after that, the what does it produce? It turns into a liquid and a solid. Then you just drain the butter at that point, and then you squeeze it out, run cold water over it, and squeeze it some more to get that liquid out, and then you have butter.
The rest of it, once the liquid comes out, you got butter.
You have butter, and
Just like that.
that's just like that. And we add in all of the like the roasted garlic and stuff like that. So
Oh,
I think
Jesus.
yeah, a lot of people they do all of these like pre-made seasonings. But something we've done is we will make so we'll like look at the ingredients to the bag of seasoning that you want to buy, and why not just buy all of the individual seasonings and make your own? Because
Yep.
you're skipping all those steps of preservatives and nonsense. So you're
Yep.
just using pure ingredients the whole way along.
Hmm.
It
Well, I
takes a
guess
little bit longer. It does. It
yeah.
takes a little bit to source those ingredients, but I can tell the like the physical benefits of it. You feel clean.
Yep.
Halfway to hippie, man.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'm gonna have to well, I'm gonna have to text you later on about that butter thing because I'm gonna try that for sure. And then
Yep,
essentially you can add whatever you want to it, like you said, garlic if you want,
exactly.
and that's probably a perfect thing to put on top of a steak. Let that melt over a
Exactly.
steak.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Interesting.
Yeah, it changed the way that we cook. It really does because we essentially eliminated all Pam immediately just
Yeah.
by putting olive oil in like a little spritzer bottle.
Yep. So when it comes, do you uh like kind of are you more selective on olive oil?
So
Because like generally when it says olive oil and you look at it, so the whole idea with olive oil is you want to make sure that it's comes from the same country at least. Because if you look
right.
at a jar or a bottle of olive oil, a lot of times there's like 12 different countries it came from. So you're just taking like
Hmm.
the back end, the ass of all of this of the good stuff, and they
Yeah,
just
you're
mix
taking
it
hot.
all together.
Yeah, the hot dog of olive oil.
Right. Yep. And then they mix it
Yep.
all together and then they just, disperse, right? So,
Yep.
I know that, so we are definitely more cognizant of that for sure.
Hmm.
And there was a guy, and I'm not trying to not promoting this at all, but there was a guy that I was watching on TikTok who he would, when I had it, he would try to find like Costco, really good deals at Costco. And like
Okay.
one of the things that he did was talk about the olive oil. He goes, because when you want olive oil, generally you typically would like it in a glass bottle.
Yep.
You're definitely gonna be paying for it. And but you know that you're getting, especially if you get it from one country and it's in a glass bottle, you got some good
Hmm.
stuff. But there was a bigger, I don't know, it was like almost a liter bottle of olive oil that he was talking about. He was like, yes, it was in a plastic bottle. He goes, yes, it's in a plastic bottle. It's not ideal, but this is, and I've compared this to some other stuff. This is actually a really, really good olive oil if
Okay.
you can just kind of get past the fact that it's in a plastic bottle. But hey, I
Yep.
mean, I don't know about you. If you guys have a Costco nearby you,
There's no Costco nearby, but we have Sam's Club.
okay,
Uh, but what I've realized was going to Sam's Club is that we try, like, once again, we do minimalistic meals where you have a vegetable, you have a meat, and then typically we'll do rice. And I
yep.
think Costco and Sam's Club benefit the people more that eat more like granola bars or Gatorade, stuff like that benefits them more. But for us, it really doesn't benefit us. So we've had a membership for probably about 6 months. We've only gone twice, and it's 30 minutes away.
Oh, really?
But
So
I've
I
also
go ahead.
I've got a couple of friends that go to Europe on a cycle. They're over there pretty often, so they can buy olive oil in bulk and bring it back, and they kind of just dole it out that way.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So I would definitely agree with you about the whole with the about what like you said about the Costco and like Sam's Club stuff is because it does and it makes sense because you can buy big boxes like your granola bars or chips
Hmm.
and all this shit. But we actually stay out of those couple aisles. I mean, it is usually I'll go and I've gotten some pork bellies from there and it's been
Hmm.
good. I've gotten the brisket and it's been a prime cut for a really good price. But yeah, like you said, I agree 100% with it. Generally, people do benefit because it is kind of like what you're saying, the granola bars and all that other stuff. But
Yep.
yeah, we definitely stay away from. We'll get the like when it comes to like the mayo. I'm not kidding. The jar is like the size of a plate. That's how big that
Yep.
fucking thing is. So I mean, there's things like that we buy and we store, and it just it's just a bigger size of it, so it lasts longer. So that's why we really like going. But yeah, we stay away from those like, oh yeah, get 40 of this protein bar for half the price, whatever
Yep.
bullshit. Yeah, so no, but I
But
I agree with you.
I'll give them kudos for their like what would you say like their Bath and Body Work products. Like you can buy like a lot of their like shampoo and body wash stuff pretty cheap there and toothpaste
Yep,
stuff like that.
yep.
But for the
It,
food, we the unsung hero of Sam's Club is their sashimi grade salmon.
hmm,
Oh my gosh.
really.
Is it good? Yeah.
So I actually had when you were talking about sushi before from gas station for
Mhm.
the 7-Eleven. I still have yet to do that, but I did for the first time have sushi from a grocery store from Sendix. Have you heard of Sendix?
That's a pretty high skill grocery store, right?
It is a little bit more so, yeah.
Yeah, they have like the
But
red truck on their logo. Is that right?
I'm not sure. I don't think
Hmm.
I don't know. I so Monica actually worked at one when she was in high school.
Okay.
So she's more familiar. They're more generally we don't have I think one that's like the most north one in the state that I know of is in like maybe Oconomowoc. Or no, I'm sorry, it's in West Bend and that's a little one. But
Okay.
I don't know if there's any more that are north of that. So I never really heard of them until I met Monica. But those, like I said, I tried when you're talking about sushi before, I was a little nervous about the sushi coming from a
Hmm.
grocery store. I felt a little bit better that it was coming from a Sendik's, but when I was eating
Right.
it, it wasn't bad, but it
Hmm.
also wasn't like you sitting in and they just cut it up fresh. It wasn't
Right.
bad, but it was just like, yeah, well, it is. It was a fast meal. It's a fast lunch. What we were just
Hmm.
kind of running through that, Dave. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if
not
you
the
have any
best.
I don't know if you have any listeners in the South, but down here, dude, we have Publix in their seafood
Yeah.
department, and they have like a sushi station where they have somebody prepare the sushi, and it's all under $10 unless you're getting like a family pack. And dude, all of their sushi is so good. Like I was going on a road trip to Orlando, and it's about 6 hours away. And I pulled in with my buddy. I'm like, cool, I'm gonna grab some sushi because that's how much I trust the quality. It's like I'm
Yeah.
gonna eat sushi and then drive for 6 hours. That's how good it
Yeah.
is. And I
Right.
think that's the ultimate testament.
Yeah, no shit.
That would be the worst case scenario. Shit, yeah.
Yep, right. So when you're eating sushi, I guess what's your kind of your go-to? Do you like the tempura or what do you kind of go for generally?
So I've got nothing to back this, but I think of tempura as like a garbage fish.
Yeah.
Uh, Typically, I try and go for the salmon or like typically on like the label at these places, you'll find like real crab, real salmon, real tuna. I try and go for the real versions of those because like sushi can be a very, very healthy meal to go.
Oh yeah. Yep. So I agree. Like if I go to a sushi restaurant, whatever, I'm going for salmon every single time.
Yeah.
I skip
Yep.
over all of it. And it's not that I don't like tuna. I like the taste of tuna, but the texture of it, especially in
Mm.
sushi, is just a little funny for me. It's not that
Yeah,
I
I
think it
prefer
tastes
cooked
bad.
tuna.
Yeah. But I go and like if there's a salmon lovers roll, they got a salmon on top and it's also rolled
Hmm.
in. I'm usually going to that because I love, love, love my salmon.
Yeah, so I was this is probably one of the more interesting parts. Not interesting, but peculiar. So I didn't have sushi until I was in Japan for the first time. That's when I
Really?
had sushi. Like I never dicked around here. It was always real sushi. And then once I came back, I had that just hankering. Like I want good sushi, and sure enough, these grocery stores can produce it.
Really? That's good.
Yep.
Well, then if
So
it's somewhat comparable, then hey, I guess that's saying something.
exactly. Yep, exactly.
Damn.
Uh, Up in Wisconsin, do they do like all you can eat sushi? Is that a thing?
Not around us, I mean, where we are now, but in Milwaukee, we've been to a place that has it and it's really, really good. I
Yep.
think it's like $25 a
Oh,
person, but that,
yeah.
yeah,
They who
but
said
that's,
me.
but it's not just sushi, it's like their entire menu.
Yep.
So you want to get edamame for a starter? That's part of your $25. You want
Yep.
to get you want to get four rolls of sushi, you can do that too. You want a dessert, you can get like
Hmm.
crab rangoon. It's like anything that's on their menu that they give you, you can get it. That's part of it. But you can't just order like 12 rolls of sushi and then say, "Oh, I'm full after my second roll. I'm gonna take these
Gotcha.
all home."
Yep.
Yeah, no, they charge you for if you take it home. But
Hmm.
so usually I try to play it out, see how I'm feeling. If I finish two or three rolls, I'm like, yeah, I'm not. I could have
Hmm.
some more to get my money's worth, but I know I can't finish a whole roll of sushi. Well, then I'll grab maybe a crab rangoon or something smaller, you know.
Yeah. So something cool about like I don't know what they're called in Japan, but I always called it like a sushi go round, where they have like the
Okay.
train tracks that bring the sushi to you. And essentially what
Yes.
they do
Yeah.
is they take like if you don't eat all of it, they're going to charge you. So what they do is they put like a higher grade of sushi on like a purple plate and then a lower grade a lower grade sushi on a yellow plate. And then they come around with like a telephone and they take a picture. And what it can do is analyze the different colors of the plate to see how much you should be charged if you didn't eat all of it.
What the fuck?
They're living in the future, man. Yeah, they are out there. The future is now. Yeah.
Do you know how to use chopsticks?
So I never used chopsticks until I was in Japan.
Yep, and you're
Huge
getting
chopstick guy.
me too.
Huge.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when and this was just a couple of weekends ago that we got that sushi that I was just telling you about at that Sendex, and I'm looking everywhere. I'm like, I can't find chopsticks. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna eat the sushi with chopsticks.
Give them to me. Give me the
Yep.
chopsticks.
So I like asking him like, hey, you guys got chopsticks, whatever, and we're looking. They looked all over like, yeah, we don't have any right now. The distributor didn't bring them. I'm like, well, what the fuck? So I'm like, so I'm trying to eat the sushi with a fork, and I just didn't know what I was supposed to do because it's just
You
so
can't
abnormal,
stab it.
right?
Yeah, you can
So then
scoop, I guess.
you're like scooping it, but then you'd rather have a spoon at that point, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know how many times I've eaten sushi in my car just because it's a quick grab and go meal that you can get at grocery stores down here.
yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, if it's that good, if we ever make our way that south, I'll keep that in mind. Check out the public
Yeah.
sushi
Uh,
for a quick lunch.
we went to Publix together when you were in
I thought
Tybee,
we
and
yeah, I thought we did.
yeah, it's like once again for all the southern viewers, you know what I'm talking about. Like it's like the premier grocery shopping experience. You walk inside, it's like the quick trip of grocery stores. There's going to be a clean toilet and everything's beautiful. That's
Yep.
that's the only way to describe it.
Have Quick Trips made their way down by you yet?
So we have Quick Stars. They're
Oh,
essentially the same. I'm pretty sure they're owned by the same parent company.
yeah, I think so too. Yeah, they I just feel like everywhere you look and is there's a new Quick Trip popping up, and I'm not that upset about it. Like, I
Yeah, I'm
love
not
it there.
mad.
No,
Yeah.
no. Like they got everything you want. The food is always hot and ready, and it
Mhm.
is always generally pretty damn good for what you're paying. So quick,
Yeah.
fast, whenever, because we had a crazy winter, so I spent a lot of time in my working some overtime. So it was always a
Yeah.
quick stop and go and yep.
Mhm.
But
So the last time Emily and I came up for Christmas this year, and this
yeah,
was her first time being to a Quick Trip, and she finally had the mozzarella cheese sticks. Oh my gosh, was she impressed?
like the
Yeah,
the the cheese stuffed breadsticks.
yes,
Yeah,
yep. First time she loved them.
yep, they are good. I try to stay away from those because I know, like, I try to stay away from doing like carb overload, except I save that
Yep.
for like an Italian restaurants, here and whenever I do that. But oh, I was actually talking about carbs. I did want to tell you. Did I tell you I made I not I Monica and I
We
made we made our own pasta. Did I tell you that?
Yeah, because that's when I told you that I want a kitchen aid for that
Oh,
reason.
yes.
Yep.
Yep. So we I think we just got this bug up our ass when like I think it was a Sunday, and we are like,
Mm.
Monica had that attachment. She got it for Christmas, and we hadn't used it, and this was just recently too, and we're like, you know what we should do? We should make some should homemade pasta. And I'm like, well, what can we do with that? I'm thinking, oh, boom, shrimp linguine. Let's go.
Ooh. Yep.
so so it did take uh a lot of time to do that. I
Okay.
mean, and we doubled the recipe because I was like, normally if you're gonna make a box of pasta, it's a pound, right?
Yep.
And I'm thinking like, oh, they was saying it. However, it worked out. I'm like, maybe let's just double the recipe, just
Mm.
because. And who cares if we have leftover? I don't know if I thought we ordered. I ordered. Well, I think what happened was I thought the recipe said a half a pound of shrimp, but we got a full pound of shrimp.
Okay.
But then we doubled the recipe for the pasta. And then I found out later on that the recipe did call for a pound of shrimp. So then we had a ton of extra pasta. But
Mm,
anyways, it definitely was a process, especially if
okay.
you double the recipe, you know.
Yeah.
But it was easy enough, you know, it was just your flour, a couple eggs, little olive oil, and you just sit there and you're just
Right.
rolling it out for
It,
I mean, you're I can't remember what the word is right now, but
kneading.
yep, there you go. You're
Okay.
kneading that your dough just for a really long time. We probably did it for 15 minutes, and then you have to let it sit for 30, and then we started. Then I cut it up into 8 different sections, and then you
Okay.
keep feeding it through, and it keeps rolling it out,
All
and
right.
then you keep the initial one is just to flatten it out. So then you keep making it smaller and smaller, like thinner and thinner
Hmm.
until you get to the thinnest point or where it wants you to, and then you have a cutter and it cuts it into. So we made it wasn't linguine that day because we didn't have a linguine cutter, but we had a fettuccine cutter. So a
All
little
right. And
thicker
that's just a
than we
string
had
noodle.
planned. Yep, a little thicker than it was supposed to be, but it's pasta, I guess. I mean, I'm not a pasta snob where I have to have a specific pasta for a, whatever. But it
Yep.
was so the first 2 bites, I'm like, we're like, something just kind of tastes off, you know.
Mm,
I'm like, what's going on here? And it only takes a minute to boil because it's raw. It's not like it's
yep.
dried out. And
Hmm.
we're just like, first couple of bites, we're like, what the? It just tasted kind of weird. Wasn't used to it. And then you keep eating, you're like, okay, I think I realize what's going on here is the fact that I've never had real pasta in my entire
Yeah.
life before.
Yeah.
This is really fucking good.
Yep. Yeah. So we talked about chicken breast earlier about things our parents overcooked by a long shot. And pasta is the number 2 on the list for me. There's chicken breast and there's pasta.
Yeah.
Because like you just throw it in the boiling pot until it's mush. But
Yeah.
pasta is supposed to be al dente. It's supposed to be a little bit chewy.
Yeah. Yep. You know what? I don't mind. I mean, do you like it al dente?
I love al dente. Like I like not
Okay.
there's no crunch, but there's like obvious resistance when you chew.
Okay. So I guess I've never gotten to appreciate that, like the al dente. I don't mind if it's
Mhm.
not. I don't want it mush either. I don't
Yep.
want it to like all stick together because it was boiled for so long where it just comes out in just giant clumps. So I don't want that. But did maybe I have had it. Maybe the al dente is just it was a little underdone yet, so it still has this
Okay.
the little mini crunch. But we're still, but again, it was the first time we did it, so we're still kind of getting there on that. But hey, when you do get a KitchenAid and that attachment, man,
Yeah.
worth it, worth it.
Yes. So it's something to note as well because we're from the Midwest, Wisconsin, and that's primarily German heritage.
Yep.
Meanwhile, like Italians are, further south towards Chicago and stuff like that. So we don't have as many like authentic Italian restaurants.
No.
So as soon as you do, it changes your look on Italian food. It really does.
Yes.
And it's something to note because like it's mostly Germanic.
Yep. Right. And actually, Monica's plan was actually to make some homemade ravioli this weekend until I was invited to
Okay.
this bourbon club on that I was talking
Mhm.
about earlier. So, yep, we're gonna be trying that out soon. And she was talking about doing like the spicy Italian stuffing with some cream cheese or whatever kind of
Mhm.
recipe she found. So I'm excited for that to happen. But those you have to be really careful. That pasta you actually have to let it chill for a while because you gotta think after you stuff it with whatever filling that you do,
Mhm.
you can't just like throw it in a pot and then like have it all just fall apart,
Yeah,
right? So
because
you
the
gotta
pasta will blow apart.
Yep, you got to let it firm up a little bit so it doesn't
Okay.
just right. So yeah, we're gonna be doing that one soon. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. So I guess I didn't really get into. So why did you get into cooking? Like, why did you start like cooking more and more?
That's a really great question. Um, I think so. When like we had just kind of alluded to, is just kind of like having that basic um diet growing up, especially because you
Mhm.
are in the middle of Wisconsin. It was meat and potatoes pretty much every meal. And
Yep.
I love my mother to death, but she's a little bit picky with things. So there wasn't a whole lot of flavor here and there with everything.
Yep.
So it wasn't until after I moved out um and started meeting more people that were interested in like a wider range of foods
Right.
that I started having a better appreciation for different foods. And um then I kind of just wanted to recreate what I had.
Okay.
And then I went through this stretch too, because and then after I bought my house, I kind of went through this, like I was cooking a lot, and making these
Mhm.
really cool, but then I was realizing then I started getting in my head like the time. So I'm
Mhm.
spending 2 or 3 hours cooking and then cleaning, but only eating
Mhm.
for like 5 minutes, right? Because you cook
Yep.
this fantastic meal, it's gone just like
Mhm.
that. So then there was a time that I kind of stopped. Um, but then once I had Monica in my life, then that was something that her and I really did together because we both enjoyed it, and it
Okay.
was something that we could do together. And then I also wasn't just cooking for myself and making a big fucking
Right.
mess in my kitchen and spending just as much time cleaning as I was cooking just to eat a
Mhm.
quick meal sitting there by
Yeah, for
myself, you know
one
what I
meal
mean?
a night, that's
Right.
nothing.
Yep. And but like I said, like it's something that we both really, really enjoy doing. And then together when especially after we first met, and then we just it's kind of spread to a smoker now, sous vide,
Yeah. Yeah.
we know Blackstone, and now it's kind of growing. So
Mhm.
and we love it. I mean, yeah, I hate cleaning up. I wish I had
Mhm.
somebody that I could just fork out some cash. Can you just I'm done with
Right.
it. Here you go. I don't want to I don't want to clean up. I hate cleaning up, but the
Yep.
meals they're typically always worth it. So,
Yep. So I guess I've got a pretty similar story, but so I lived in the barracks where you have very little cooking space and you have very little cleaning space. So you were kind of forced to eat like, dude, you would put noodles into like a Tupperware bowl and put them in the microwave for 5 minutes until they were soggy. That's
right.
kind of where I was for the last 5 years until Emily and I bought a house when we came to Alabama, and it kind of gave us the opportunity to meal prep for the week,
Yep.
aka fancy terms for leftovers every night. And we would meal prep lunch and dinner. So for lunch we would have chicken of some sort, and then for dinner we'd have like turkey sausage or beef.
Yep.
And it kind of let us go from there to see what we wanted because, like you said, like the time. If you cook a meal, 3 meals a day, you just wasted 3 hours of your day. So
Mhm.
if you are okay with doing meal prep or leftovers, you can save a ton of time and have good meals because then you're controlling the protein. And that's like protein's the most important part, as we all know. So like the meat is where it's at.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so that's generally why when we do cook, like we make a bunch of it because we
Yep.
know that we at least have something the next day, and maybe
Yep.
possibly for the next 2 nights.
Mhm.
So then we are getting better about that. So it's not like we're cooking every day. And I know there's some people out there that hate leftovers, but I don't mind.
Mhm.
I mean
Yep.
as long as you cook it, I mean, yeah, the microwave is always easy and stuff, but there's some things for sure they're better to reheat in like an air fryer or in the oven or whatever. And as long as you don't mind doing like that and having a couple dishes to wash here and there, like
Mhm.
it's worth it. So
Yeah.
I
So
agree.
every time we make lasagna, every time we make lasagna, we came up with these things called emergency meals,
Yeah.
where we make extra and we just freeze it because when you're in a pinch, you just throw it in there and it's ready, and you have a good meal at that point.
Yeah. Yep.
And lasagna gets better, man. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, what is it about like spaghetti and lasagna and like pasta with like red sauce? For whatever reason, it's just as good, if not better, the next day than it is when you originally make it.
Yeah. There's no reason for it to be that good the next day.
I know,
Yep,
but I'm not
exactly.
complaining. Not complaining.
Oh,
But it's like
have you made
it's go ahead.
have you made your own Alfredo sauce before?
Yeah.
Dude, that is underrated isn't even the word. Alfredo sauce will taste 100 times better than the fucking ragu in a can. I'll tell you that for
Yes.
free.
So that's really funny that you say it, because when we because that's what we did with that leftover pasta, because I doubled the I doubled the batch to that pasta. So then I'm thinking to myself, like, shit, so we made the shrimp linguine, so we had a bunch of pasta. I'm like, what are we gonna do? And
Yep.
I think that weekend as well I had smoked a chicken. So I
Mm,
had a bunch of leftover shredded chicken. So we made smoked chicken broccoli Alfredo pasta.
mm.
So, and it was the same, like you said, like it, I had never made my own Alfredo sauce until that day that we did that.
Super
And
easy.
it is. And I mean, the only thing that takes a while is you just have to keep stirring it so it doesn't burn,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
as long as you're patient enough, or you have some music going, whatever, you're hanging
Mhm.
out, you're happy, have a cocktail over there to keep you
Yep.
entertained, whatever it is, like, yeah, that Alfredo sauce, it was so good. So good.
Yep. So I've given a couple of shout outs to the audience that lives in the South, but for the guys that live in the Midwest and the North, look up Cajun recipes. Cajun Alfredo, Cajun chicken, anything like that
Yep.
is going to knock your socks off.
But generally, when you do like a Cajun chicken Alfredo, the chicken is just in the Cajun, right? It's not, the Cajun is not in the Alfredo. Am
Mm.
I saying, or
Yeah.
is it like are they putting the Cajun in the Alfredo sauce so then the whole meal has the Cajun?
So this is one of my biggest pet peeves. I was going to ask you this later, so I'll save the question. But when you're cooking, I like to try and keep the flavors separate. So you get a different sauce, and then you get a different chicken flavor. So you can kind of enjoy those separately as you're eating them, because you don't want to eat just one bland, not bland by any means.
Right.
You don't want to just eat one monstrosity that tastes the same.
Right. Yep. So there's a couple meals that we'll do that, like obviously like the chicken broccoli Alfredo. It's all kind of mixed together. I mean, you could just do Alfredo and then kind of drizzle a sauce over. Like there's some meals
Mhm.
that are like that, but generally, like I agree with you. I want to split it up, because there's actually been some times that I've told Monica, and she disagrees with me on this one, but where I said there's just too much going on all at the same time.
Mhm.
Like it's not that I don't like all of these flavors, but I want them separately instead of all at once. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
because you don't want the broccoli, the noodle, and the chicken all the same, and then the sauce on top of that. Like, if you can pick apart the meal as you eat it, it's like, oh, that's pretty interesting.
Yep. Right. Yeah.
So, what was the best meal you think you've ever had in your life?
Oh shit, that's tough.
Yeah,
That's a really tough
because I
question.
asked the question, I've got a good answer here.
Okay.
So Emily and I, her family is pretty connected with the community in the Savannah, and we went to a cancer benefit, and they served unlimited wine. That was the deal, is that they just ran around with like little wine bottles and like little wine glasses. You could drink as much as you wanted to. And they had like pecan crusted chicken
Hmm.
with rice pilaf, and it had like a little bit of cheese in there too. And dude, I drank too much wine where I couldn't actually appreciate how good the chicken tasted. And I woke up the next day pissed off about how good the chicken tasted. I couldn't remember it. It pissed me off.
You remember that it tasted good, but you didn't remember exactly what it tasted like.
Exactly, dude. I was worked up. Like, I was like fighting the air, man. I was worked up.
So I was trying to think. There is a meal that does stick out to me, and I'm not saying that this is the best meal I've ever had, but this is one that sticks out to me a lot, and I do think about it. I mean, trust me, I love prime rib. I love steak. Like I would have steak every day if it wasn't gonna give me high
If it was affordable.
cholesterol. And what you're right. Yep. But I was down in there was 2 years in a row that I went down to Florida with my parents, and we stayed at the same hotel.
Yep.
Both times it was right on the ocean, but we went to this place called the Conch Republic, the CONCH Republic. I might have told you about this.
Were you in Key West? Were you, and then you had the Diablo wings or something like that?
It was the Diablo mussels.
Okay, all right.
Yes, so it was this spicy tomato based sauce with mussels over some pasta. If that was the entree, or you could get your whatever entree you wanted, and then they had Diablo mussels as an appetizer if you wanted it that way instead of just over pasta. I don't know. I mean, I never really had mussels going into my first trip there, but that meal, man, like my parents always ask me when it comes, because what we do for our family is we always go out to dinner for a birthday, and hey, where are we going for your birthday? I want to go to the Conch Republic for my birthday.
Yeah.
So are we catching a flight down for one night or what? So I do. If I could go back down there, and then they had this blended mojito there too, which sounds really weird, but it was so good, so
was
good.
It spicy?
That whole no, it was just a mojito. It had but after they blended up, they had just the little tiny pieces of mint in there and the rum, and it was so good. Like it was like 10 minutes down the road, not even probably 5 minutes down the road. So we went, we went there more than you should when you're on vacation. You should try to branch out a little bit, but the food was just so good.
Yeah, so that's how I gauge a restaurant. If I go somewhere new and it is good enough to say I should go back here tomorrow, that means it's a good restaurant.
Yes. So it's funny. So we stayed down there, I think it was 4 nights. Last time that we went. And we went the first 2 nights there because we loved it. We knew we loved it from the first time we went there.
Right.
And then I think our last night, so maybe we went somewhere the first night, however it worked out. Excuse me. And our last day there, we had booked a fishing charter.
Okay.
So we kind of went out into the Gulf of Mexico and caught some snapper, I believe. I think it was snapper. Whatever, it was a whitefish. I can't remember.
Whitefish, yeah.
Yeah. And we caught a whole bunch of it, and there was a storm coming in, and we're on this little boat. It's rocking the thing. That's the first time I ever experienced seasickness, because I don't mind being on a boat, but when you're on a little boat and you have 4 or 5 foot waves, well then that got to me. But anyways, caught a bunch of fish, went back, and because we had heard that you can kind of get it, you can take it somewhere and they'll cook it.
Yep.
Okay, so we go back. The guy it was a really, really good charter. I can't name drop here because I don't remember what it was, but he did a really good job. He filleted everything up for us, did all the work. And we're like, oh yeah, so we heard that there was a place that cooked up whatever. If you brought some fresh fish, they'd cook it up for you. Oh yeah, it's at the Conch Republic. Oh, all right. So it's
perfect.
So it's our last night here. We were just there the last 2 nights, and now we had like 30 fish. We're like, well, okay, well, we're not just gonna let this go to waste. So I guess we're going back.
Yeah.
So then they had like 3 or 4 different flavors, but they breaded it and fried it up. They had just like regular. They had like blackened and like a Cajun, and they just brought out like 6 plates of fish to us, and we're like, we can't eat all of this. So then we
send it down the bar.
We actually sent it back to the kitchen, so the employees were actually snacking on it all night, and they all kept on coming back and saying, "Hey, thank you." We're like, well. either you eat it or it's gonna go to waste anyway. So we're glad that somebody could have enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was that. Love that place. I gotta get
Hmm.
back there. Gotta get back there.
Where was that at? That wasn't Key West, was it?
No, it was where's that big college or partying town that's a little bit north or south? It's nearby Tampa.
Gainesville.
No,
So north of Tampa is Orlando, then after that is Gainesville. So Daytona, maybe?
try the other direction then.
Uh, I've
Once I
lived in the
see it
South
here,
for a while. I should
I'm
know this.
I'm pulling it. I'm pulling it up. I'll be able to see it really quick here.
You know,
Oh, Clearwater we were staying by, and then
Clear
St.
Beach.
Petersburg
Okay.
is St. Peters is that big college town, I believe, or that big
Okay.
party area. So we were stayed in near Clearwater, and then they have that area where that really touristy area there where there's like Uncle Tom's Pass or something like that, where they
Okay.
had like, yeah, but it was by Clearwater.
All right.
So if we ever make our way that way, give
Yeah,
you a
we
holler.
can't. Yeah, we can't be too far. We're really close to Central Florida.
Hmm, good. Yeah, well, like I said, I gotta get back there. Hopefully, they're still in business because that place was,
Yeah.
and it was stupid. Like when we were talking, like the place was just fucking packed all the
Uh,
time.
so basically, right now, the Florida tourism industry has taken a huge hit because the what do they call them in America? The hurricanes came through last year and just beat everything to shit.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Yep.
Everything's been kind of wonky these last couple of years.
Yeah. Who's in charge of the weather machines? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, right. Well, not to mention, and I'm not trying to get too deep into the conspiracy hole here, but why all of a sudden are we hearing about all of these derailed trains with chemicals in the
Well,
last couple of months? Like, because there was another one today or yesterday, just in the last couple of
yep.
days. Why all of a sudden are they all here now and we never
Yep.
heard about this before, or it never happened before? Like,
Okay.
I'm sure it
So
happened, but
yep. So here on the podcast is the perfect time for me to say to the audience that all of my beliefs and opinions from here on out are mine and mine only. They're not those of the United States government. So I think that about covers it for what they can hold against me.
yep,
But it's kind of crazy how all of these train derailments are happening in strategic locations.
yep,
So if you look at the one in Ohio, that's part of like a northern river valley where all that does is flow south.
yep,
So it's very interesting because typically railroad is safer than any sort of highway transportation.
yeah. It's supposed to be.
Supposed to be. I
Right?
don't know nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like you said, you're not on social media, but I follow a couple of guys on Instagram where they have like they created their own news site and they've sent people to I think it was East Palestine to like get independent research on like the water quality and stuff like that. And it's just not looking pretty.
Hmm, that's too bad. I mean, we just had that whole ordeal in Michigan and Flint with lead and all that, and now we're another city
Yep.
in kind of the Midwest area.
Yep. And it never got resolved. I don't think I don't think
I
Flint did get ever
I don't
resolved.
I don't think so. Yeah, it's too
Mm,
bad. Hopefully this whole thing doesn't become a pattern.
no.
But
Uh,
you know,
if you really want to get into it, for the audience, if they want to look up how many different food processing plants have burned down in the last couple of months.
really,
I guess, yep. So I guess that's kind of like a huge part of why food prices have gone up so high is because like the major processing plants have been shut down to random fires.
random fires.
Random.
Oh shit. Well, hey, Dakota, I think we were talking about doing an hour and we just polished off an hour and 45 minutes. What do you think?
Yes, sir, we did.
Do you have a good time?
I did. This was a lot of fun. I could do this. I could do this.
Yep. And it's funny because I have this like spread this the Word document up and I was gonna go through beef, chicken, pork. Sam, and all this stuff that I kind of wanted to touch on because we love our cooking, but we didn't make
Yep.
it really much past beef, so we're gonna have to do this again.
Yeah, we're gonna have a part 2.
I mean, there's no reason that I mean, I initially kind of started this whole podcast because of my fantasy football league and kind of
Yeah.
talking with people, but I also didn't want to just limit it to that, especially because
Yeah.
football doesn't go some people it goes year round, and I
Mhm.
could talk football year round, but I also wanted to have friends and people that I really like that had things that I found really, really fascinating
Mhm.
on, and I thought this was a really, really great first step to doing stuff kind of like outside of my norm. And
Yeah.
I hey, I don't know about you, but I thought we got some good material. So
Yeah, I
um
think we covered the wave tops, all of a couple of proteins, but I think for the next one we should talk about. Have you ever worked with lamb before?
I have not. I want
I
to
think,
though.
yeah, I think we should both do something with lamb in the next coming weeks, and then
And
we
report back.
reconvene. Yeah,
Report back.
reconvene. Yeah, we
Yes.
both do like a different recipe and go from there.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. We'll do that. But hey, again, Dakota, thank you for coming on and thank you for joining me. This was awesome. I appreciate your company. I appreciate seeing you and talking to you because I always enjoy your company. You know that.
Sure. Yeah, we gotta
Like,
FaceTime more often, even if it's not for a podcast.
I know. I know, and hopefully we'll be seeing you in September if you guys can make it up.
Yeah.
If not, I totally understand. But if you make it back, man, we're gonna have a fucking good time.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
All right, buddy. Well, I will thank you again, and we will talk soon.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
All right.
All right.